morning, folks. This is David Peace Monroe, Marilyn Monroe's nephew on the Marilyn Monroe Show on Jess TV in Lethbridge, Canada. Tremendous project with global distribution. Tune into the morning show every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with your host, David Peace Monroe. With the new, live streaming wave of the future that we have with streaming platforms, television, film and radio, is all going vertical now, folks. So with the vertical age here, you can Google search and type in on your Google search platform from your phone anywhere in the world. All you have to do is type in jessfm.ca, www.jessfm.ca, ssh101.com. And you can also pick that up on your TV, any device, streaming device anywhere in the world through Roku TV, Apple TV, Android TV, Meta TV, Fire TV, and the NCG Television Network in Lethbridge, Canada. Tremendous project with global distribution. Folks, good morning. And today we've got Jay York. He's a fabulous musician. He's got tremendous music tracks upcoming. He's in film. He's a graduate of film school just recently, and he knows all of the different camera rigs that can be used, all the latest technology and VFX, CGI integration into films and music videos. Incredible, creator, original creator. He's the driver of the bus, and most of his projects or let's say all of his projects that he collaborates with other musicians. He's the top-notch A#1, head honcho. A#1, New York, so to speak, like Frank Sinatra used to say, New York, A#1. And so I consider Jay A#1. I've looked at all of his work. I've known him for quite some time, a couple of years now, throughout Facebook and other projects. With people in the boxing world, that he's very familiar with. He's got a podcast, The People Show, with Donnie Hall, that he's a creator of all the platform facilitation, and so he's got a podcast, and he's a great musician. He's got music videos upcoming that are going to be shown here on the show. I think, Jess, you might have a clip of your music at the end. He's got a comic script, Jay So Bright. We're going to talk about that. So Jay's got a tremendous amount of projects upcoming that he's working on, past, present, and future projects, and we're going to get into those today, folks. Jay, welcome to the show. Folks, welcome Jay York and Jay York Productions.
Hello, everyone, and it's a pleasure being here with you today, David. I'm a fan of yours, man. You doing your thing and everything. And I watch your stuff and everything, I'm just ecstatic to be here right now. Right now, I'm humbled, to be here. I don't think myself. I just do what I do. You know what I'm saying? I don't think highly of myself or anything like that. I just do what I do, and just keep working at it. So that's basically. I'm just a simple guy. That's it.
Well, Jay, man, God bless you, man. Thanks for coming on the show, man, and being so gracious to take time out of your busy schedule to come out here on the Marilyn Monroe Show, man. I know you've got a lot of projects, and us being artists, man, we get swamped and bombarded with our work, and it's hard to even break away sometimes, even for an interview. So, man, I'm honored and proud to have you on the show, man, because you're a fabulous recording artist, music, upcoming, man. You're one of the hottest things going today. I know a lot of people on my Facebook platform, and you're the best, man, new upcoming cinematographer, musician that I know. And that's saying a lot, man, because I know a lot of people, man. So you got a really good thing going on, Jay. And so let's start the interview by talking about how you grew up in Baltimore, and then how you kind of your grandpa. You told me was a merchant, and he had like a grocery markets and stuff, and then you guys moved over to Virginia and then into North Carolina. So let's start out with how you started out your journey in life, and then we'll get into your music projects after that. Let's tell the folks about that, Jay. How did you your upbringing and how did that go for you, sir?
Okay, yeah. I started out, I was in Baltimore. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Um, I was there with my mother and my mother's side of the family. Mostly is what I knew. And my father, he was uh, more so. I guess working all the time. I don't remember I don't remember my father like how can I say in Baltimore wise. You know what I'm saying? I was really young there and all I know is that I don't know, it's I guess it's safe to say this, but my father he was a rough man, you know what I mean? He was a pretty tough guy. And we had some problems in Baltimore, um, and my mother as well. Um, and we had to leave Baltimore. My father had got into it with this gang, um, and things happened and everything there. And so we left Baltimore, and my mother went to go stay with my grandfather in Virginia. Uh, so my father, he was a persistent guy and everything, so he found us in Virginia. And so my father said, well, uh, yeah, I mean not my father, but my grandfather said, well, we're going to put you down in North Carolina. My grandfather was a well-off kind of guy. Like I say, he was a merchant. He owned a grocery store and he grew his own food. He had his own farm and everything like that, which my mother and them worked on his farm and everything. And he had houses and all that. So he had a house down here in North Carolina. He put my mother there in that house. Uh, Still, my father was persistent, and he found us in North Carolina too. But by that time, my father he had kind of straightened up, and he kind of like stopped the violent stuff that he was doing and everything, and worked out well. My father ended up staying with us in North Carolina for quite some time. I mean, for for the rest of my life, before he passed. And yeah, so my father he was a good man. He didn't play no junk, he didn't play no mess. You know what I'm saying? He was very protective over his family, and he loved his family, and he was very persistent about being with his family. He had a lot of problems. You know what I'm saying? Like I think more so like drinking maybe. I don't think he did any drugs or hard drugs or nothing like that, but he didn't play. You know what I'm saying? He would pull that gun. You know what I'm saying? He would pull that gun. So, but he was a good man, and afterwards he kind of slowed down, and he became a good family man.
That's absolutely fabulous, man. What a great upbringing that you had, in Virginia. And I know Baltimore's a rough neighborhood. They got that HBO original series, The Corner, in Baltimore, man. So that's that real life stuff. That's a rough neighborhood out there, growing up out there in Baltimore. I'm from Los Angeles, man, and my neighborhood's rough, man. There's shootings and stuff all over the place out here, man. So you got to be careful. Anywhere you go in the country, man. Anywhere. So yeah, that's a tough neighborhood in Virginia, North Carolina. I've been to North Carolina. Fabulous place down there. I actually did a horror movie down there in 2023. So I was in North Carolina. It was very nice where you live at. So I enjoy. I was from Winston Salem, and that's a great great neighborhood. They've got a fire truck where they have a cocktail party on top of the fire engine, drive around Winston-Salem down there. That was a lot of fun. So let's get into Jay, what your journey in life took you. You told me you went to school and you started writing poetry, which led into music. And so you had a girlfriend that you were trying to impress by writing your poetry. And you also had other guys at school, when you were going to school that were doing the same thing. They were writing poetry, and so you guys were like a kind of a competition. You told me, and so that's kind of how you got into writing. And then your poetry was to impress your girlfriend. So let's tell the folks about how you got into school and you got into writing poetry to impress the girls in there, and that kind of led you into writing your music. We'll get into your music after that. So let's tell them that part about how you got into started writing and how you began your journey in poetry, and then how that developed into music, Jay.
Okay, well, yeah, I think it was like maybe sixth grade or something like that. Yeah, I started. I started liking this girl in the sixth grade, and another guy was liking her too, and so he wrote her a poem, and so I was like, man, he wrote her a poem. I'm gonna try to outdo him, and I'm gonna try to outright his poem. You know what I'm saying? So then that's how I got into poetry, writing. Writing, trying to outdo him and everything. Also, I wanted to say there was a guy that was very influential in my life. His name was Stony Betchel. He also wrote poetry and he danced, and he taught me how to dance. And I did leave this part out because I was in the Breakforce, and I used to break dance. I was a break dancer, and I kind of
Electric Boogaloo.
yeah, I kind of got
They do that out here in LA a lot.
yeah. So I kind of got really artistic, like creative and everything like that. Plus, I had my teachers in school and everything. They would always tell me I was good at art. I could draw. I could create. We had these little papers that we did and everything, and we made colors under it. Then we went over it with a black kind of black film or whatever, and we had to scratch off like different designs and stuff like that. And I used to do that, and I was good at that. I did graffiti, you know what I'm saying? I was one of the bad kids out, writing on the wall and doing graffiti on the wall and doing tags and stuff like that. I always have just been really creative like that, poetry and writing, drawing, and everything. I just was a gifted kid with that talent. But the girl,
He had kind of straightened up, and he, kind of like stopped the violence out, writing on. Always.
Yeah, so that's absolutely fabulous, Jay. So you got into the poetry to impress the girlfriend, and that kind of developed into your music career. And so let's tell the folks about Lynn Williams' music. How the writing of poems developed into music tracks. You were kind of like the nerdy bookworm guy, you told me, in school. And, even though that the girls like bookworm guys as well. So you always were, you told me about how you were always kind of a hit with the girls and writing poems. And then you got, you're working with Lynn Williams music. And then so they developed into a talent show that you were involved with at Granger Stadium. And then that talent show, they had like a competition, you said, which was Battle of the Battle of the High Schools. And so the winner of the high schools would go with Kiss 97.7 on a live tour. And you won that. You won that competition 3 years in a row. Jay, fabulous, man. So you want to tell the people how you began winning competitions when you were young in music, and how that's developed into what you are today?
Yeah. So my cousin Lynn Williams, God rest his soul, we started doing music together. He was kind of like a similar he was in a similar circumstance. He got heartbroken and stuff like that too. And so he started like doing his music and everything, and playing the piano and the keyboard and everything. I always was kind of like a writer type guy, you know what I'm saying, where I would write to his music and everything. So he would do the music and lay the music down and everything, and I would go in. We would write. I would write to it, and we would make songs and all that. So we decided we were going to try to take it to the next level, and we were going to try to get on something. Go to a talent show or do something. We didn't know what we were going to do, and I think it was kind of fate that it happened the way it happened, because this guy Captain Newborn, we started doing shows for him uh, at Granger Stadium, and we went to the different high schools and other stuff like that. But so we went to Granger Stadium and we performed for Captain Newborn. We wasn't on the show, but he put us on the show. So it so happens that when we walked around Granger Stadium, the door, it was a big door there, that where the artists and everybody was going in that was on the show. They were going in, and Captain, he would happen to be standing there. And my cousin, he asked Captain to put us on the show. And so Captain was like, so what do you guys do? And so Lynn was like, this is my cousin, he rap, and I do the beatbox. And so Captain said, well, let me hear what you got. And so we performed for Captain right there on the spot. And my cousin, he had a beatbox where when he beatboxed, he laughed at the same time. He'd be like that, right? And so Captain just went crazy over there. He just loved that. He said, oh my God, yeah, y'all come here. Yeah, we're gonna put y'all on the show. And so that's how we started with the Battle of the High Schools and touring with 97.7, and we won that day. And each year they had it each year. Kinston was a very fun place to live in the beginning when I first got here. It was a very fun place to live. They had the street affairs. They had things like the Battle of the High School. We could go to the parades and everything, and it was a really showing up throwdown at the parades, because the bands, we had some of the hottest band. Kinston High School had the hottest band every year. They would really, they would throw down, in the parades, and we had a very good time. I had a fun childhood in Kinston. Um, I remember this guy. We're still friends. Stewart. He used to play in the street affairs, and right now, to this day, I think he does shows. I don't know, every night, daily, or every weekend or something like that. But he's still doing music too. Um, so yeah, I just grow up just being artistic, and people that was around me that was artistic, and what I mean, I just took chances and performed for people. We did one time there. I remember one time we did this place called the Chic Discotheque, right? And let me just and so we did it. I was too young to get into chic discotheque, but my cousins and them, they dressed me up and they painted a mustache on me so I could look old enough to get into the club. So uh, they did that, and we got in and everything, and we won the competition at the chic discotheque. We were just all over. We were just doing things and just being creative and doing shows everywhere.
That's absolutely fabulous, Jay. And you know, at those gigs that you go to, there's a lot of you know, animosity and haters, and you know, like if you look at Eminem up there in the 7 Mile, you know, those guys were in those clubs, and so that kind of portrays the ideology of what, you know, musicians in rap and R&B go through. Coming up, you know, in those like underground clubs and things, you know, and so you participated in that type of, you know, genre, you know, and your music similar to that, and so that developed into a lot of guys, you know, with hot attitudes, and you know, everybody wanting to beat everybody and be the best musician. So that developed into a physical type of danger for you called safety concerns, which you ended up having a fist fight with a lot of those guys. And then so, you know, when you see your comic strip, when we get into that, that's kind of you with boxing gloves on, the J so bright, you know. So that's kind of the ideology that you had to go through music that developed into your comic strip, and we'll get to that in a minute. And I just want to do a quick station identification break, folks. This is David Peace Monroe, Marilyn Monroe's nephew, with the Marilyn Monroe Show on Jess TV in Lethbridge, Canada. Tremendous project with global distribution. Tune in every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in the morning show, Marilyn Monroe Show, with your host, David Peace Monroe. With the new vertical age of streaming, folks, you can just tap on your Google search and type in jessfm.ca, www.jessfm.ca, ssh101.com. And that's readily available through global distribution, all of your streaming platforms, Roku TV, Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Meta TV, and the NCG Television Network in Lethbridge, Canada. Tremendous project with global distribution. Be sure to tune in every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the morning show, the Marilyn Monroe Show, with your host, David Peace Monroe. And so, Jay, let's talk about how you know, your music and all developed into you won it. So you won this talent contest 3 years in a row. That got you going, and you know, with the Kiss, the local Kiss station down there, radio station, and you toured around. You won that competition 3 years in a row. And you know, during that, those fights and things, you told me about how that you would get down with anybody, no problem. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm a martial artist. You're you know, you're a boxer, and you know, growing up kind of like in the same type of, you know, genre. You know, because I come from the streets of LA. You're from the streets of Baltimore. Those are rough neighborhoods, man, and we're rough and tumble kind of guys. You know, my dad was similar to your dad. You know, he was a no bones about it guy. You know, my dad was actually a bare knuckles fighter, and he was 34-2-1 in his amateur career. This was down in Jacksonville, Florida, when they used to have bare knuckles competitions way back in the day when it was all sticks and dirt roads and things. He told me about how the guy that he fought could curl 300 pounds. He said, but he had a glass jaw. He said he got in there and knocked him out. So you know, your dad and my dad were kind of similar, because we kind of have the same similar story. So I wanted to touch on, you know, the fights and things, and how did you react, and what happened, you know, with those incidents, man, you know, and how did you protect yourself, and you know, around that type of an environment where you have all of these hothead guys, they're rappers, everybody wants to get to the top, you know, and they're hating on you, and you know, then when you're running with a crew like that, they don't got your back, you know, because they're all out for themselves, you know. So, you know, you'd be on tour with some guys like that, and they really don't have your back. So that puts you kind of in a dangerous spot, you know. And then your own homies told you, you know, Jay, that you know, that it was getting dangerous, you know, and to kind of move on from that, you know, that young era of your life that you grew up in. So let's tell the folks about that, Jay. Let's let them know about how you told me about that, and put that in your own words for us, sir. Please.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did have, the guys that I ran with, that were, like they were performers. You know what I mean? They weren't really fighters per se. You know what I'm saying? They didn't. There was one guy, he liked to fight, but you know what I'm saying, he would fight, but he wouldn't win all his fights and everything. You know what I mean? Now
Right.
I've fought, I've won some and I've lost some. You know what I'm saying? Some that I won, people will say that I lost. You know what I mean? So, but um, yeah, I experienced a lot of hate. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people. You know what I mean? People that hate you for no reason. You know what I mean? You can walk down the street wrong, and people just dislike you. You know what I mean? There's nothing you could do about that. But I just tend to, what I did is I just ignored a lot of hate and people that wanted to maybe fight or whatever like that. I would fight. You know what I'm saying? When I had to fight. But there was an incident that I got beat up. And I'm not gonna deny that. I got beat up because, and I mean, I'm gonna say this right here too. As like my father, as a young person, I had a drinking problem. You know what I mean? Where I went to these clubs. I would go out. I would go to these clubs. I would party and everything like that. And most of the time, when I went out to a club, I was drunk. You know what I'm saying? I drank a lot. I drank like a fish. I could probably drink anybody under the table. You know what I mean? Because of my drinking problem. And that night that I had that fight, I was really kind of out of it drunk. And when I went out with these guys, to go out with these guys, and they knew that I had been drinking the whole night, and in that place in the dark, I couldn't see all that kind of stuff. And plus, I was already about drunk. But yeah, I got beat up that night, and that's what kind of detoured me from going out with them uh, to the clubs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because I was in this rap group, but I was in this other group too. Um, that they were, we were family. You know what I'm saying? We were like kind of like a family group. Started out the Harlem Crew Juniors, and then we migrated on into the MOB. And a lot of those guys, you know what I'm saying, they love me to death. I'm telling you, a lot of them guys, when I did get in, because I got into a lot of fight, and they seen that a lot of people wanted to fight me because of just being jealous or just being haters or just wanted to hate and everything like that. A lot of them, if they were around, they wouldn't let me fight. You know what I'm saying? They would back me off and say, I got it, Jay. You know what I'm saying? And they would beat the guys up. You know what I'm saying? Because of they didn't like the fact that people just didn't like me just not to be liking me. You know what I mean? Because they were jealous or whatever. And I'm not saying a lot of them were perfect. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to the ladies, they weren't perfect. But they wouldn't. but they would fight. They didn't want you to mess with Jay though. You know what I'm saying? Now when it comes to a woman, they won't hit no 2 cents. But they didn't let you mess with Jay though. You know what I mean? And I still love them guys. Right to this day. Right to this day.
Well, that's rocking, Jay. Have some real solid people around you in the industry. Friends, family, to have your back in life. It's a great deal. To have a good, support group, people you can rely on, people you can be transparent with. My martial arts trainer, Grandmaster Harold Diamond, passed away and his death is still an open murder investigation down in Thailand. So when I lost him, I lost my mentor, I lost my best friend, like a father to me, someone who I could confide in, and rely upon and be transparent with, and bounce things off of back and forth. And so it's been tough on me, but I know that there's a real need in life, in general, to have a good support system. So man, that's great, man. You have all those great guys backing you up, because man, you're fabulous. You got the film, you got the music and all that coming up. And so when you stopped, when you stopped all that, kind of slowed down a little bit. You got married to the girl that you were trying to impress with poetry that whole time in high school. You ended up getting married, and did you have a kid together or something? You said, tell the folks about. Want to talk to the folks about that?
Yeah. So the first girl that I was trying to impress was a girl, Bria White, and I was trying to impress her in the beginning, and she that was the competition me and the guy had. Me and this guy named Thomas. We had a guy, the competition in writing poetry and all this kind of stuff. So it was me, him, Wendell Williams. He was dating this other girl. Well, he wasn't dating her, but he was trying to get with this other girl that was our Bria's friend and everything. And we was all hanging together and doing all that kind of stuff. But then this other girl that came along, the girl that I married, I was trying to impress her with poetry too. She she wasn't really into me in the beginning, I would say that. But later on, I don't know what transpired with her and some other people that she was dealing with, but she came to me, and she wanted to be with me and everything, and I'm not gonna say everything that she did, but she showed me, she guaranteed me or showed me that she really wanted to be with me. But at the time, I kind of wasn't interested at the time then, because I was a rap star. I'm saying I had a lot of people after me. I had a lot of girls after me and everything like that, and so I wasn't really too much interested. But I did give her time, and I spent time with her and everything, and eventually I did fall in love with her, and I did marry her. So that would kind of that backed me off from the hanging in the street and the drinking and all that kind of stuff like that. And what I mean, and we had a child together, and I just I backed off from that, and I was going to be a family man. And so that's what I did. I did that, but then later on, we got divorced, and I started back into doing my music and stuff. And
yeah, let's talk about that, because we're cutting short for a little bit of time, a little bit late. We're running a little bit late this morning, folks, with our equipment. So let's. I don't interrupt you, Jay, but let's talk about how you went downtown to your studio. Working with some rappers down there, and then it just didn't work out financially feasible for you, so you moved back to your home studio. You got connected to Reverb Nation, and then you can find all of your music on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all the main music streaming platforms. You did projects with the Beatmasters. Then you have the Donnie Hall People Show with the podcast with Donnie Hall that you help them out with the video. Then you have the comic strip Jay So Bright, Hero of the Wind, which was actually Jamil, and you created him.
Jamilian.
Jamilian. Okay, I'm sorry. Jamil. And then he has an amulet that he has, and that gives him power of the wind, and that allows him to, strike his enemies and win. And then, so with the D Hall show, you did the structure. Then you have the music, Throne of Pain coming up, which is your hit single that you got coming up, which talks about a concept of, how people go after money and power and kind of pay their way into the motion picture industry and music industry, which is fake. They take the concept of money and power over truth. And so let's talk about, your history in music and fit that in the best we can. And hopefully Jesse will let us roll over here and get that out there to all of our fans. Jay, let's talk about all your music, the D Hall People Show, and your Jay So Bright, your Jay So Bright comic strip, and your music Throne of Pain. Let's tell the folks about that.
Okay, yeah. So I had a recording studio here downtown Kinston, North Carolina. I started a recording studio, and yeah, when I was down there, it was kind of like for as far as finances, I couldn't stay open because people don't want to pay for studio time and all that kind of stuff. Back then they didn't.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted everything for free. Of course, and that wasn't like that for my cousin too. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wanted music tracks for free. Everybody wanted to be recorded for free and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, you couldn't run a studio like that. So I moved it back into my home and I started doing music in my home and everything. But I was doing it for other people. And I started a band, a gospel band. And my Alexa's getting ready to say something. But I started a gospel band. It sounds like Heaven Music Group, and started like doing tours with them and everything. And we linked up with this guy named Danny Hargett, and we started going to different churches and stuff like that. And some, they did some stadiums, not stadiums, but auditoriums where we performed there. So yeah, then after to make a long story short, I'm trying to sum all this up because I've done a lot of things, you know what I mean. But so I kind of, I took on D Hall. D Hall had his own show, and he was with this other guy, Steven, and they were working together and everything. I don't know what happened with him and Steven, but he started doing his own thing, and I mean, I seen that D Hall, the way he was doing his show was not structured. It wasn't, like sound like in whole. It wasn't. He was lacking something. So I came along and I structured his show, and then I started doing the promos and the videos and flyers and everything else for him and all that. And you know, there you have what we see now, the D Hall People Show. I think we did pretty well on the show. I made a lot of connections through that show. A lot of good friends, Tony Burgess, and people that support us and everything. I want to shout everybody out. I don't want to shout everybody out because I might leave somebody out, but I want to say some key people like Michael Williams Senior and Junior and DMC Can, and I said Tony Burgess. Yeah, I can't think of everybody now, and I don't want to shout at everybody because somebody might say I left them out. But everybody that's been supportive on that show, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I thank you for your support. So yeah, so the comic strip Jay So Bright. I got that from I recently had a child, and she lost the child, and it kind of bothered me, you know what I mean? And so I was thinking, what would this child be like? What would this child have been like if he would have survived and everything? And who would he have been through life and everything? So I just come up with a concept in my mind. I'm going to keep his memory going. I'm going to keep his name going. So I came up with this character, Jay So Bright, which is supposed to be my son that I lost, hero of the wind, and he has the power of the wind that from this amulet that he found, and he's still discovering his powers and stuff, and he's learning more and more things that he can do with his powers and all that. So yeah, so that's where that is right now. As far as my music, I do got I got a single out now with well, I won't say the distributor, but I was having trouble with one distributor, uh, and I'm not gonna say it was, well, I don't know what happened, but they uploaded the wrong song. You know what I mean? And I tried to take it down, but they uploaded a practice version of that song that I did, and they put it in the stores. You know what I mean? And that kind of made me mad. You know what I mean? Because nobody, I don't know, people don't answer the phones. You know what I mean? Everything is automated, and then when you try to get with people to try to straighten stuff out, they don't want to get back with you. You know what I mean? So I left that distributor and I went to another one, and I released "Throne of Pain" on with that distributor. I have some more songs that I got coming out. The latest one that I got coming out is "Close Encounters," and it's about I don't know. I know you get into a lot of the alien technology and aliens and stuff like that, and I'm that type of guy too, where I'm just intrigued by uh, uh, aliens, people of another from another planet and everything, because I actually seen one when I was small, and everybody was still nobody would believe me, but I did actually seen a spacecraft in the sky when I was young, a UFO, and that's what kind of really left with me the intriguement of uh, wanted to learn more and more about if we were alone in the universe or if there were others out there, because I did see a spacecraft, when I was younger. Um, but yeah. So what was I talking about? Okay, so yeah, the
The
music,
music, you're,
yeah, the
you're throwing a
music,
pain.
yeah, yeah, the music, uh,
Distributors
yeah,
giving you hard times. I just wanted to let me touch on something on that, Jay, that I wanted to touch on because we're working on projects together, and I don't know if the people know it or not, but I'm also a co-producer of a record label, one of the biggest names in the world. Music Tracks Films, folks, and Music Tracks TV is the Barry Fay record label. If you folks don't know who Barry Fay is, Barry Fay was the Rolling Stones manager. He took Led Zeppelin to their very first North American tour. He took the Doors on their very first North American tour. Matter of fact, that was Barry's first show. Was Jim Morrison and the Doors. He's managed bands like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix Experience, Janis Joplin. He took the Rolling Stones on the very first world tour a musical band ever toured a world tour in the history of our planet and the history of the world. Barry Fay booked the very first world tour with the music rock band, the Rolling Stones, in the history of our civilization, in the history of the world. That's who Barry Fay is. When he was over in Europe with the Rolling Stones, he discovered a band called U2. And then he was like, wow, these guys are great. You know, I'm going to bring them over here to the United States. And he's got a venue at Red Rock in Colorado, which are, if you've never been there to that venue, he booked 960 shows there throughout his career. Got these two big red rocks, and it's got a big stage on the bottom, which is absolutely fabulous. So we have, Jay, upcoming, we have the Motor City Madman, Ted Nugent, is part of our project. Steve Miller is part of our project. And I have a bunch of other collaborative musicians that are coming together on this record label, including myself, Tank Monroe, and I'm creating new R&B tracks myself. So you have R&B tracks, I have R&B tracks. I've got a girl, I'm not going to say what her name is, that I'm talking to that knows Michael Jackson's son. And there's a bunch of tracks that Michael Jackson hasn't completed that his son's going to complete. So we're working on bringing Michael Jackson's son aboard with people that I know in my contacts in music. You'll see me in pictures with Jason Bonham of the Inner Circle and Sammy Hagar, which he's been playing drums for 9 years for Sammy. And he is, you know, Bonham's Led Zeppelin experience. So great guys, you know, that I'm in contact with in music, the biggest names in the world. And we're coming together on this, you know, predicated to come together on, you know, this record label, bringing big names like that to our record label, which will change the future of music forever, folks. Our contracts offer the artist 80% of their royalties. That's 80% of their royalties, folks, 80%. Yeah, that's a fair deal, right, Jay? You know, you work hard, we work hard. It takes me like 30 days to put a track together. That's a lot of work that we have to put in. We bust our butt to do music, and we deserve to get paid for it. We're the artists. We're the ones that make the music. So, like, you take your stuff and send it over to Spotify. You said you had trouble with the distributor. They wouldn't call you back. Spotify pays you like 0.1%. Steve Miller told me, he says, Dave, he says, the guy at Spotify, I let him use my whole music catalog. He got 10 million streams on my music. He said he paid me a check for less than $10,000 to Steve Miller. So, you know, we're going to take back the music industry, and I believe that you'll be a big part of that, you know, if you would wish to participate. We are the biggest names in the world. You know, Barry Fay is the biggest name in the world, biggest record label. We're making a film about him, the Rock Father, and you know, then a documentary series. We would wish to take the pilot up to HBO and see if they want to. Like 1 week you'll have the Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger, and then the next week, you know, you'll you know, have Tesla, and then the next week. We have enough material to do 3 or 4 shows just on Steve Miller alone. And then now we have Ted Nugent, the Motor City Madman, is riding along with us in this gig. You know, so it's going to be a rocking great hang. So, you know, talking about problems with platforms and distributors, I am a distributor with the biggest name in the world, Tank Monroe and Barry Fay, you know, the manager of the Rolling Stones, and all of that big influx of all those bands that came in during the 60s. He was their manager, you know, including Pink Floyd, including The Doors, including Janis Joplin, including Jimi Hendrix Experience, you know, Cream and Canned Heat, and all these different bands that were coming in back then. It was just, you know, they were magnificent, and it's always a rocking great hang, man. So, you know, that's going to be great on the music chip, you know, Jay. We can give back to the artist, and they can make their money through streaming through Music Tracks Films and Music Tracks TV, and make 80% of their royalties, the way it should be, a fair deal. You know, all we ask is 20% for booking the gig for you, you know. So we plan on doing a show out at Red Rock out in Colorado. I was talking to my buddy Chuck Slocum, who owns the record label, inherited Chuck's record label. He was a drummer for Les Paul, the guitar maker, and he also did gigs with Jimi Hendrix Experience, bass player. He was the drummer for Jimi Hendrix bass player. So, he's in his own right. He's hanging out with Metallica, Kirk Hammett back when he was a kid. He knows, all the big rockers, man. And so they're not getting any younger. The contracts are, pardon my French, but they're screwed. People are getting screwed out of their royalties, money. Nobody can make money. Live Nation, the fans, you got to pay $1,500 for a nosebleed ticket to some of these, and it's like, it's not fair to the fans either, man. We love our fans. I'm a fan. You're a fan. I mean, you don't want to go to a concert and have to pay $1,500, just to get a nosebleed seat to go to your favorite concert of the people that you love. And so you're getting gouged with the ticket sales, and I understand, you got to make money off events, but you don't have to gouge, $1,500 and rip people off like that. That's just not cool, man. In my opinion, we want to bring back that fair price with the tickets, so that people can enjoy it, have a good quality project, and relax and enjoy themselves. And think, man, that was a great show, great rocking, great hang, man. And I got a great deal on a ticket, and we want to go back to that show again, man. So we want to bring that back, man, to music, and give that ideology, and allow the for the customers and fans to be happy, have a good parking space when you get there, get a cheap ticket, man, not an expensive ticket, moderately, ticket to get in, enjoy the show, and a rockin' great hang, and let's come back, next time, man. I want to see those guys again. That was just a great deal. And, so we want to bring back that comfortable environment, with our record label, and we want to allow the musician to make 80%, make their money. That's a fair deal, right, Jay?
That's right.
That's rocking. So that's what we're doing on there. And so let's talk about where people can find Jay York Productions, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Let's roll out all your different streaming platforms, Facebook, how people can find you, Jay, and how they can find your music. Where can they go to listen to your music, Throne of Pain, your new hit track that you got going? Man, which, as a matter of fact, I want to tell the audience that I'm a big fan of R&B. I do R&B and rock music myself. I have some new tracks upcoming that you can be looking forward to. Tank Monroe, and my original Tank Monroe. I do, some kind of overlaps of some Elvis Presley songs and things that I'm working with, and different materials I'm working with in my music. So, but for your music, let's tell everyone where they can find you for now. And then perhaps we can work together on collaborating our music on my record label, that I co-produce with Chuck Slocum, who's the owner of the label, but he allows me to use it as a co-producer, as an independent consultant as well, to broker out to different musicians to be added to the Music Tracks films, which that people can make 80% streaming the platform. So let's tell everybody, Jay, God, man, thanks for coming on the show. And dude, I'll have you back on here again, man. I'm proud to have you on here, man. I'm very honored to have you, man. And it's great working with you. Let's just leave one little nugget before you tell people on Facebook and TikTok, or your platforms from Facebook and TikTok. Me and Jay, folks, are working on a vertical comedy ensemble / reality TV series pilot, where everything is recorded vertical with your phone. Because all the streaming's going from horizontal to vertical, folks. That's just face it. That everybody watches stuff on their phones, and so that's just we're going from horizontal to a vertical age. So me and Jay are working together on a project written by Steve Oakley, which Steve Oakley was a writer for MTV for like 34 years. He wrote television pilots for MTV for 35 years. Very successful, tremendous writer. You can give him an outline and he can write you out a script like in a couple of hours. That's how good he is. And it's a good quality script too. A guy owned a theater for 40 years, wrote numerous screenplays over 40 years in his own theater. So he's a tremendous guy to work with. And I've come together, me and Jay and Steve Oakley. We've got the other kid up in Sacramento, the kid, Neil Nier, who plays over 117 musical instruments, folks, that's working with us on this project. He's a phenom. He listens to music. When he was in his mother's womb, and then he came out a musician, and all these frequencies were just like it is naturally born into him, so it's amazing his story that he's working with us in music and that he can play over 117 musical instruments. Would you believe, Jay, that this kid, he can pick up an instrument and play it like a professional without any lessons whatsoever? How is that possible? He does that, man. That's how incredible this kid is as a musician. So he's going to be a part of the Guinness Book of World Records. Doesn't even know what to do with him, Jay. So we're going to have him, folks. We're going to have Steve Oakley, me and Jay. We're working on that. So tell the folks a little bit about, how you feel about working on that. My upcoming film, Marilyn, the Truth Forever Monroe, where, perhaps we could, write you in as Sammy Davis Jr., as you recollect, my Aunt Marilyn Monroe was dating Sammy Davis Jr. for a time back in the day. So perhaps we could, write you in for that. So let's tell all the folks where they can find you and about our upcoming projects together, Jay.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you can find me on Reverb Nation. That's www.reverbnation.com/John York on Reverb Nation. You can find me on TikTok as I think it's J Prince. I think it's J Prince on TikTok. I'm not sure about that. It's either J York or J Prince on TikTok. Of course, on Facebook, I'm J York on Facebook. My fan page is J York Productions on Facebook. I have been hacked on Facebook, so in my old page is J York Productions INC. Don't go to that one. I don't know who has it, but it's still up, and it's not mine. If you see the INC on the end of it, that's not mine. That's somebody controlling that page, or I don't know. It was monetized, and I think that trying to get some money off of that page or whatever. But my new page, J York Productions, is just J York Productions, and I'm on Instagram as J York. If you go to Instagram, you're gonna see little J So Bright on my profile picture. That's me. I'm not that. My profile picture isn't on Instagram. It's J So Bright. And what else did we have today? Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the Steinberg Goes Vertical and working on the film and stuff. David, you know some people, and I will admit you got some great contacts and everything. And we're going to see where it goes from here.
Absolutely fabulous, Jay, man. God bless you, brother. Thanks for coming on the show, man. Thanks for taking your time out, your busy, schedule to come on the show and be interviewed. And thank you for, accepting the opportunity to participate in the project with me, Steinberg Goes Vertical, with Steve Oakley and Neil Nier. Great group of guys we got together. And, that being a pilot, I have connections with people who have rights to HBO and Universal. I'm not going to say their names, but I have people that own the rights to HBO and Universal. So we can shoot it right out there, man, and see, give it a test run, get it up there and see if it goes. And then, we got a job, and we can make money. People in the motion picture industry, they don't understand. People look at Hollywood and they say, well, it's all the glitz and glamour. These people got all this money. it's a tough job. It really is, man. It's super tough, man. They don't understand how much, we have to put in, to get to where we need to be in this. Okay, he's playing the song right now, so we'll see you next week, folks. Silvio C-Mac coming on the show next week. Thanks for coming on the show. Okay, and you can be looking for Silvio C-Mac next week, folks. Thank you for coming on the show. We'll see you next week on the Marilyn Monroe Show.
And match the energy the same. Don't sit there and just do nothing. Just on your throne of pain.
I guess Jess is going to play the song for us. Or he's playing the song. All right. We'll see you next week, folks. Thank you.
Through the dirt of life and ruin your state of name. Throne of pain. Throne of pain, you might feel empowered on the throne of pain. Cash app and a few dollars on the throne of pain. Knocking boots for many hours on the throne of pain. And so what, you got some flowers on the throne of pain. Independent, good people in your life, you end it. Condescending, ain't controlling nothing, in the truth you bend it. Unattended, you're ignoring all your faults and conversation ended. You just vented. Your haters, you befriended. Throne of pain. Throne of pain. They will label you as a weirdo, isolate you by yourself, and they'll talk bad about you, but they won't offer no help. Don't worry. And they might do way worse things. Just keep it quiet as kept. And they often tend to use you until there's none of you that's left. They talk behind your back because the truth can't stand your face. The lies they told will come to light and it will put them in their place. When deep inside the lion's den, it's such a different taste. But everything they've done to you will soon come to a waste. Throne of pain. Riding. Everybody wanna ride, but they don't wanna pay the price. And it ain't no easy way through this. You see, and on my journey, I lost a lot.